Let me tell you a little something about myself. I was born on the 11th of December 1982, therefore that makes me a Sagittarius. Now, I don't follow my star signs, and quite frankly, most of it is a bunch of bullshit. But one trait, it's not necessarily exclusive to Sagittarius, but a part of their general makeup is having a fiery temper. Very easily aroused and very, very passionate. And you know what? I got to agree with that. When I see something I do not agree with, or when somebody says something I don't agree with, I tend to flare up. It's not necessarily a trait that I feel proud of, because sometimes I have a tendency to say things I really don't mean, and I do feel terrible about saying them afterwards. And I do apologise. But look, there's only so much for me to get truly angry at. There needs to be a legitimate reason to bring out the rage in me. And a watered-down remake of a much beloved movie in this day and age of remakes and nonsensical uncreativity, that doesn't make me angry. It makes me apathetic. Poltergeist from 1982 is amazing. Yes, it has its flaws, and there is somewhat of a timestamp on the visual effects, but when you get down to it, that film ticked all the boxes when it came to making a legitimately entertaining and terrifying film, with a huge dose of humour in between. But the remake of Poltergeist that's come out because of Ghost House Pictures, it's terrible. And you don't need me to tell you that. But the reason why I feel so apathetic about this, rather than making a video and having me launch into an explosive tirade, is that I'm just at the point of which I don't care about these remakes anymore. Specifically, I don't care about these watered down, repetitive remakes that do absolutely nothing for the genre. That doesn't include small, minute changes that makes it more contemporary. No, I'm talking about the entire picture. Alright? So for example, there is only two things in the Poltergeist remake that I liked. Sam Rockwell as the father, and Jared Harris as the paranormal investigator, who also happens to be a reality TV show host. And I love both of these actors. I have seen them in some fantastic movies, and there's no doubt to their talent. But I don't see how this crap film could offer any sort of creative satisfaction to these actors. It's not as if they don't have any work at the moment. They're both very consistently busy performers, and for the most part I enjoy seeing them in every single film they've appeared in. But Poltergeist is a waste of their talents. Rockwell tries with what he's given, and Harris is so woefully miscast. The fact that he has been made a paranormal investigator with a reality television show pretty much cheapens the peril that puts our little Carol into distress. That the film follows very much the same storyline, there is no alterations made to it, and that is perhaps one of the most cardinal sins of this movie. It doesn't try to be different, it doesn't offer anything of substantial value to you. If you haven't seen the original, maybe you may enjoy this film a little bit more. But keep in mind, for every decent moment in this movie, the original did better. Whatever positive steps this movie has made, it comes from something far more superior. And going back to Jared Harris, like when his character enters the house, like with his little entourage, the teenage daughter. Now she has just witnessed her baby sister being abducted by the spirits, as well as the fact that her younger brother was almost killed by a tree. She wouldn't, fangirl about this paranormal investigator coming into her house, because that's exactly what she does. The moment she lays eyes on Jared Harris, she's like, oh my god, it's that guy, and I wish he should. Bitch, you wouldn't be starstruck if very close members of your family have been put into jeopardy like that. Your sister is missing. and your kid brother has post-traumatic stress syndrome, the last thing you are going to do is throw a party, alright? Oh, this... yeah, I know at the start of this review that I say I feel apathetic, but at the same time, I do feel a sense of frustration. I'm not against remakes, generally speaking. If you can do something different, and if you can commit to it, that's great. But something I've always thought about remakes is that why remake a film that was great when it first came out and still holds up today, rather than remake a film that wasn't so great, that does not stand the test of time? Why not give the latter another life? Why not give that another try? And maybe, just maybe, it would become the product that it originally set out to be. Leave the golden stuff alone, you know, concentrate on the shit that can be molded and like turned into something. It's a foolish practice. And yes, there have been some remakes in the past that have broke the mold, and thank heavens for that. But if you are not prepared to do something, if you are not prepared to take this property and say, I'm going to make this into something different while still remaining respectful to the original film, there is no point. There really isn't. And the Poltergeist remake is pointless. There's nothing new, there's nothing different, and basically all of the characters are completely unlikable, except for Sam Rockwell. Rockwell plays a fantastic everyman, and that's always been his charm, but everyone else in this movie, they have nothing going for them. The little actress who plays Carol has no charisma. She only has one default look, and that is just to look cute, you know? She walks around carrying a little teddy bear and speaks in that really innocent voice. And when she isn't playing cute, she is completely monotonous. When she is in the television, like with her little hands pressed up against the screen on the other side, she doesn't sound distressed. She doesn't sound upset. She just sounds like, you know, she's really bored, like she's run out of excitement for her toys. There's no sense of fright or you know, fear. And this film has absolutely no fear in it at all. There are a couple of moments of which can be seen as creepy, but once again, for those moments in this film, the original 1982 version did so much better. And the reason why that is so is that it had a committed, you know, sense to ingenuity. It had a fantastic array of talent in front of and behind the camera. All the stars were perfectly aligned for that movie. You know, it was made at a really opportune time with a bunch of really great people, and it held up wonderfully. You know, despite some of the aged visual effects, but at the time when you are a kid, that stuff is really cool because it had not been done before. Meanwhile, in this movie, all the creepy practical stuff has been taken over by bloody CGI. CGI can be great if it's used correctly. Don't get me wrong, I am not a naysayer when it comes to CGI, generally speaking. But if you make a remake of a film that had a lot of practical effects and still to this day looks great, what are you doing accepting anything less? You would think, given the time that it has taken for visual effects, like practical visual effects to have evolved, you would incorporate something like that, not a computer game graphic. This entire film feels completely safe. There's no risks being taken. There's no legitimate sense of dread or threat being placed on this family. And you're supposed to care about this family. And that's another terrible thing. Most of the characters are terrible. They're either one note, or they're bitchy, or they have like one or two emotions to be charitable throughout the entire movie. There's no range, and it's... This film didn't break me, okay? I'm not saying that my life has been ruined, and that's not to say that the original Poltergeist is going anywhere. It's not. Of course it isn't. But when it comes to remaking a film the film industry is not in some sort of multiple dimension vacuum, okay? When you put something on celluloid and you put it up on the screen, you know, and there's a pre-existing product that's pretty much the same thing, there is going to be the inevitable comparison. And if you haven't been prepared to do something different with the material that you have been given, you are going to make the inferior movie. And it really is just a shame that nobody took any sort of daring approach with this film. Somewhere there could have been something really, really cool. And yeah, once again, it may not necessarily have measured up to the original, but that didn't have to mean that it would be, you know, plotted down and like kiddie friendly and like, you know, video game graphics. There's no excuse for this film other than, you know, cha-ching. Okay, that's why this film was made. It wasn't made to satisfy or pay respect, like true respect, to the source material. Most, if not all, who were involved were, you know, they wanted to make a paycheck. And there's nothing that I have nothing against people who want to earn some money. But you could find a far better way to do it, like something that satisfies you as an individual. There's nothing worse to an actor like doing a project that, you know, will not fulfill some sort of happiness in you. The entire film feels empty. It's an empty soul. It's an empty husk without a soul. And that's the most tragic thing. There could have been something going on, but everybody involved just chose to play it safe. And this film suffers greatly for it. So, Poltergeist 2015, 1 out of 5. The only reason why I gave it 1 point is because of Sam Rockwell, and if this film had been better, he and the rest of the actors would have had a wonderful interplay. But as it stands, not even a really great actor can elevate a film. And I'm sure all of you know that by now. Okay guys, thank you very much for listening to me, and as always, take care. Bye bye.